Hello guys, welcome to a Trading Parrot. It's been an intense day with some volatility coming in, and I really want to do a wrap up of what I'm seeing and what am I planning to do with my position. I want to talk about this breakout on the 4-hour and some liquidations that are waiting very close to the price on the top end that could be a potential level to keep an eye for. At the end of the video, I'm also going to give an update on the Bitcoin dominance and the USDT dominance versus Total 3. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. And it's been a couple of days pretty intense, starting from Sunday with the Sunday Alpha Special. With the dump in the price that we were expecting, we enter at 19.9. I'm happy to see that my Patreon members are all in the money at the moment. We covered the Bitcoin update in the morning, we covered general markets on pre-market prices, and then we did an update on Sui, Solana, and Ethereum. They are all out, those videos, so make sure that you give them a like if you are already invested, trading, or if you're looking for exits. Tomorrow is gonna be as well a very busy day. At 3 p.m. UK time, I'm gonna be live streaming with Matt, not just looking at technical analysis, but he's an expert in on-chain data, working in Bitcoin Magazine Pro, and we're gonna discuss this market from multiple perspectives. He's been in my channel multiple times, and I'm sure you're gonna love the video. Make sure you hit notify and give it a like to the video even before it goes out. That really helps the channel. In the morning, I'm gonna be live streaming from Bybit YouTube account. We're gonna do a portfolio battle. I'm gonna show you what I think a balanced conservative portfolio looks like using Bybit. Remember that now they support stocks, commodities, forex, indices, everything which you can invest with directly with USDT. I can see that in Telegram, most of the people are requesting already the charts and they are already informed, which is pretty cool to see that everybody is benefiting from my annotations that you can access directly from my Telegram channel. Look in the description for the link. Don't get scammed. There are plenty of copycats that are trying to squeeze your wallet out. Once you land in my channel, hit TTP charts and then use one of these friendly menus. Particularly this one is for BTC and it's gonna offer you access my live charts at any point in time 24/7. If you've been using the chart, you already know that we are about to close the CME Gap that we built over this weekend that is about to be completed. Actually, we just hit 103.4k. That's premium price on Binance. That is 103.292. That means that the CME gap is gone and the motivation to close it with it. I have had to update my Bitcoin status. You know, I've been in a long, but still I decided to put the 4-hour this morning in the red just because there were so many things that changed. I'm gonna leave it in neutral because there is a chance that my plan of the liquidity hand ends up playing out. If we manage to close a daily this high around this area, we are reclaiming the neckline and we went all the way down just for a liquidity hand. There is still plenty of liquidity below and many people are getting really pissed because they are really hoping for that mid-90s, low 90s. It can still happen. I am not riding my long naked. I do have a stop loss in case I need to enter from lower prices. You know all the details of my plan if you're part of the Patreon community, regardless of which tier you go for. And as soon as I finish this video is going live, I'm gonna update them because I really want to move my stop loss a little bit before I go to bed. So on the 4-hour, things are looking great because there is less than an hour. Indeed, there is 44 minutes and we could close in here, breaking out the confluence of two trend lines, the downwards sloping one and the ascending one. If we do that, of course, we are increasing those chances to hit the top of the range, not the top of the range, but the next resistance, we could say. So let's place this accordingly. We're gonna have to move it from here because maybe it's gonna take less time since we are pointing up. That could be hitting 58 on the RSI 4-hour. So let's change this to 58. That means a little bit higher. That's around 104.455. I will say that is the next resistance. As we reach that point, we could see a reaction like this, a small rejection, and then a second attempt, which is what we were speculating last night it was gonna happen. Indeed, it happened. Or we could see a big rejection, something like this, where we just see a rejection, then a lower high, and continuation down, very aggressive. After all, that is a global resistance. What we need to care, what do we have at that point? Is there any motivation to go there? And number two, is there any anything that market maker could potentially just grab and then dump. There is a little bit of both, which I'm gonna share with you all the insights, of course. We have a fair value gap located in here. It ends around 105.8. You're gonna see it more clearly if we look at this chart, which is also available from Telegram charts for free. That starts from 104.244 and it's here 105.727. So there is that motivation to go there. After all, that's the last fair value gap going up in the 4-hour and daily time frames. The RSI shows resistance at 104.4, which is the beginning of the fair value gap. So we need to go slightly beyond that and get closer to the anchor VWAP to the all-time high, basically reaching the top of the range. After all, we lost this range and we are potentially now maybe reclaiming it. So far, we haven't put a 4-hour candle reclaiming it, so I'm not gonna count victory, but if we do, we have great chances to continue moving into 104, 105 next. It is the daily at the moment that is facing resistance. Let's say the daily closes like this, then it's going to be a little bit of trouble. I'm gonna explain why. If we focus on the RSI on the daily, what we are currently doing is a revenge rally. Okay, that is the context. If we reach 45.37, which is the point of contact in here, actually it's 45.31, that is daily resistance, which we just lost the support. So in order really to progress to the upside, what we need to do is to put a daily close above this green line. If we do that, there is a chance that then we meet with the next resistance and eventually we produce a breakout to the upside. But as you can see on the daily, we have plenty of resistance. 45.32 and we could say 51.92. Voila, we have the numbers there and let's see where is that in the price. Let's focus on what resistance we are dealing with at the moment, and we are dealing with 103 basically. That is what we need to ideally close tonight above that. If we close right there below that resistance, does that mean that we are completely screwed? Not necessarily, but I will say if tonight we see the price closing, let's say below 101, that is an ugly rejection. Staying around 103 is not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. Above 103 and we can start pretty much celebrating that we can get into 105 and deal with the fair value gap juicy that is right above the price. And that will be fantastic because if we can get there, that is around 6% upside. So that's a 3x, it's 18% on a move that lasted a couple of days. Is not bad. I am really not focusing at the moment on how much profit I'm gonna squeeze out of a long that is an actual counter trade at the moment. I am currently focusing on preserving my capital, and I will say 99% of my thoughts are constantly going into where to place the stop loss next, because I want to balance out finding a reversal point that can give me a long ride to the upside versus all this volatility that we are seeing during the day. You can see that I enter at 98.9 and this move in here made me think that I was going to hit the stop loss and close in a small profit. I was deciding to look somewhere else and think about something else for a while and come back later and see if I get the opportunity to enter lower without any losses, or if my position is still there. Luckily for me, it was still there and now it's back in profit. Of course, anything can change, but you get the point. Let's look at the weekly time frame where things are a bit delicate at the moment. We lost the support of 104.4 and we are kind of rallying now into that resistance. So 104.4 could turn into ugly resistance on the weekly. So watch out with the reclaim of that weekly, because there is a chance that with all this uncertainty in the market, there can be there a big unload from people that are thinking, we're going into the bull market support band. Let's just dump from here from a higher price before we actually get into new highs, and let's test the bull market support band. I think that is something that could happen. The counter argument is that we have 111 very heavy with liquidity, but we need to think if as we approach July, we're going to get that bullishness earlier, or if we're going to get it later in July. There's a lot of uncertainty, of course. Pretty much every hour when I open Twitter, I hear that something crazy new happened, and that is becoming pretty much every swing of the 4-hour time frame. On the CPR, now we are approaching the pivots as resistance. That's something I mentioned in the Bitcoin status, and we are also approaching the resistance from the downward sloping line in here. This pattern is supposed to be bullish, but let's see if we can actually break out all the way up, or if we're just gonna do one of these weeks. Remember that has happened multiple times in this area, so let's say this goes up until 104.4, it hits the weekly resistance, it touches some nerve there and some dumps, and we are back inside the triangle once again, in which case we can go again into 99 and remain in the same triangle. So keep the possibilities. If we go into 100, well, I need to think about that stop loss a lot more before I send that article to my patrons members. On the monthly, we are back above support, so that's good, but of course there's still 7 days to close the monthly. We need to close above 102.5 to be the most bullish possible on the monthly time frame. Make sure you watch the video from the morning, because there were plenty of things to do with the weekly close that I covered this morning, but I'm not gonna cover it again, including Cerberus and a few other relevant things that you don't wanna miss. So let's go into liquidity. This is progressing very fast. You can see that since we started moving from 98, we went back down in here to liquidate these people at 100k. Right after that, we shoot back up. I think that was based on news again, and the price is now dealing with this area that I just discovered. I switch off the 10x and 25x, and the 50 and 100x are definitely involved in this area, shorting the price. They open the position from the highs around this area. They benefit from all of that, but they might have still that position open, and since the price is coming very close to them, they might freak out, and some of them are definitely gonna consider closing down the position. That has the effect of a market buy. Therefore the price could go into 104.2, where is the center of this liquidity. If I activate everything else, you can see that there is an even amount of liquidity, but really it peaks around 104. Let's look at the order book. We still have this support at 97.8. There is something that is making the market maker think, well, we need to put 1.4k somewhere there for some reason, and it hasn't been moved yet. On the top end, nothing has changed. Let me increase this to the 1 hour. There was some resistance here at 102.5, but they ended up pulling out before the impact. It had around 500, and now above the price there is not a lot going on really. Interestingly, in the last 30 days on CoinGlass, that 104 doesn't really show that big. 103.3 seems to be larger at the moment, and we really need to go into 109 to start seeing an increase. Liquidations of longs continue to be the trend, and this morning we were seeing 14%. I think that's still the reading, but it retraced back to 12%. Remember that we are looking to top the amount of long liquidations to start a season of liquidating shorts. If we were lucky enough to be in a long when we are in that transition of liquidating shorts, voila, we are gonna ride all the way a long wave up. For example, in here, this is a season of liquidating shorts. Of course, that is a huge breakout. If you are invested by then, like we were in this area in here, then you are celebrating like crazy. I'm not counting on that, but of course, I'll be more than happy if we get it. Let's do a little bit more of surgery to the order book. Still, we have aggressive sellers in this area. Interestingly, they are selling against the rip, and that's definitely containing the price from getting into 104 so far. Funding rates are still in the negative, so that means that there is too many people shorting these prices. I am still seeing 200k of delta putting the shorts at higher risk, but it has definitely decreased from 700 or 800k that we have when we enter in the actual long. Right now we could say we are running out of that, and of course we are approaching 104. If we run out at that point, we are gonna see some pullback. Let's look at the bid-ask ratio. We're gonna cover all these deviations, 10, 1, 2, and 5, and they are defending 1% at 60 percentile. That is something. It's not the best defense that we can hope for. At 5% we have 0.12, so from here to around 97% there are plenty of orders. There are more orders to buy than to sell if we go 5% up. That's what it means. General markets are so far looking good for the day. On the weekly, you can see that we are potentially taking the highs from before on the NASDAQ, and on S&P we are getting closer and closer to potentially put a high on the weekly higher than the previous 3 weeks. That will be great signal for the markets to relax a little bit. This is how the market is looking today. I guess everybody was expecting that it was gonna be a massacre. I was keeping an eye just in case, and let me cover a little bit of altcoins. We are at 12 Bitcoin season. That means that the altcoins have had a terrible terrible time in this period, but today there is a little bit of relief, as you can see. So let me see how things are going, particularly with our channel of the USDT dominance together with USDC that forms this perfect channel that I really love against the total free dominance. And you can see that we are perfectly rejecting the top line, and that is what we want to see. Just like in 2021 and 2022, we were rejecting these tops. As long as now we go in this direction from that perfect rejection, we could see the altcoins performing. And I made a mistake on one of the videos in the past 2 or 3 days. I think I put the RSI at 73 for the top of the Bitcoin dominance, and that was completely wrong. Sometimes I put the lines in here in the wrong position, but I did it more precise this time. It is not 73 RSI weekly, it is 71.81. So let's be very clear on that, and let's translate that into actual value of Bitcoin dominance, because that is a heavy resistance. Interestingly, the day I gave the wrong reading, the correct one is 66%, give or take. Today is increasing a little bit to 66.26, but pretty much around 66. And you can see that we have been very close to getting there. So that's 65.96, and we are supposed to top at 66.08. I'm not aiming to be that precise. I want to really give you a range, but you know me, I'm very obsessed with these things, and I would love to be able to call the precise top of the Bitcoin dominance. But if that play out and the USDT dominance hitting my fractal of 543%, if we were right either on the magnitude of where to top right here or on the timing, because this could go higher up until, let's say, here, just like the fractal went slightly higher. Instead of topping at 624, it topped at 668, which is something, right? But it remained within the range to say that the fractal is still valid. And if we go slightly higher, we could go to 541, and within those 3 weeks we should be seeing we have 1 more week to remain in these highs. Once we top in here, we should see a decline of 20% of the USDT dominance. That should bring it to around 4.23%, and that right down is what could bring all the altcoins, not just for 1 day going up, they should go up according to this fractal, which is just past performance. It's not a crystal ball, but this went down in the fractal for 42 days. So that is 42 days of the altcoins pumping, not like crazy, but a decent mini altcoin season of 5-6 weeks, we could say. That's a lot better than the previous ones that we have had that only stay in altcoin season for roughly 10 days, which is absolutely nothing. Guys, if you want to trade Bitcoin or altcoins on a non-KYC exchange and skip all the KYC, you can do it on Bluffing. I have a link in the description that is currently offering 10% cashback and 3,000 future bonuses. You can win even a Model 3. This campaign ends on the 2nd of July, and it comes with a hidden perk, which is to get both my Telegram charts and my Pine scripts if you use this QR code to validate your Bluffing account that you obviously open with the link in the description. To support the channel, thank you so much for doing that, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.